Over the years, the National University of Singapore, or NUS, has transformed multiple aspects of life in Singapore and beyond. It has made considerable impact on numerous fronts: individuals, community, and nation. In this episode, we discover how NUS's approach to education has helped to nurture talents, drive innovative solutions, and shape society for the future. For over a century, Singapore's flagship university has educated, inspired, and transformed many. Numerous NUS graduates have gone on to become leaders, who in turn inspire and transform lives, not only in Singapore, but beyond.
We have made substantial impact. We aim to actually do more. So moving forward, we hope to shape future talents, focus on making our graduates future ready, promote a very strong culture of lifelong learning. In terms of research, we want to be able to play a key part in shaping future solutions. For Singapore, we are also hopeful that we can energize Singapore's economy with new enterprises. Our hope is that as a university, in terms of education, research, and enterprise, we can contribute a significant share in shaping Singapore and the rest of the world.
NUS first came to life as a small medical school with just 23 students in 1905. It was set up by a group of businessmen led by Tan Jiak Kim to serve the community. Today, it is a leading global university with 17 colleges, faculties and schools across 3 campuses and more than 30,000 undergraduates. NUS has been expanding its efforts to ensure that students have full access to the educational resources it offers, regardless of their financial background. From 2016 to 2020, NUS provided close to 700 million Singapore dollars in financial aid to its students in the form of loans, bursaries, grants, and work-study schemes.
Education is one important driver of social mobility. So we want to make an NUS education more inclusive and more accessible. So starting this August, students from lower income families would have free tuition.
Students who require additional financial support will be eligible for another $4,000 per year to cover living expenses, and a grant of $10,000 over 4 years to top up financial aid for on-campus stays and overseas programs.
Our hope is that all our students will get to live on campus for at least 1 year. We feel that is a very important part of the student's experience. That's where you form lifelong engagements and friends. And it is actually very important for the holistic development of our students, to allow them also to go overseas to foster a very global mindset. So we want this to be accessible to all students.
Working together to uphold the university's strong tradition in community service is also an integral part of the student experience at NUS. The annual Rag and Flag Day, first introduced in 1957, is one of NUS's most prominent charity projects. During this event, students sell flags on the streets and organize carnival-style activities to raise funds for charity. Between 2016 and 2020, it has raised over $8 million for 22 charity programs across Singapore. During the pandemic, NUS students and staff also extended a helping hand to migrant workers by hosting those recovering from COVID-19 on campus and organizing activities for them during their quarantine.
Okay, maybe we can start from the top floor and then head downwards. Okay? All right, let's go.
As Singapore gradually eases COVID-19 restrictions, one of NUS's long-running community service programs is getting ready to make a comeback. Set up in 2007, Neighbourhood Health Screening, or NHS, is a student-led initiative that is served across the island. It provides free health screenings and follow-ups for the rental block population, especially the elderly.
Patient not responding. Please start intubation. Vocal cords visualized.
Fourth-year medical student Chan Yu Shin is one of its volunteers.
We really hope to be able to breach all the barriers that these residents have to get the care that they need. For example, they don't know that they have diabetes, and we identify them and connect them back to the polyclinic services, or community nurses who can educate and watch them whether they are taking their medications. In terms of education, finding out why is it important to see a doctor to take their medications, or even understanding English. They don't even know when their appointment is because the message is in English and they can only speak Hokkien and they can't really read either. So identifying all these residents which have problems which are easily solvable and bring them back to the healthcare that they deserve.
Centralized screenings are held at a community centre or void deck. NHS volunteers are paired one-on-one with residents for each 2-hour session.
Hello, how are you? Thank you.
The volunteers may also be dispatched in teams with the necessary equipment to conduct screenings at the homes of less mobile residents. Participating residents will have access to 5 different categories of checks: chronic diseases, functional screening, mental health, frailty, and cancer.
We'll identify what are the modalities that are applicable to this particular resident's need. Maybe this resident may have some signs of depression, or they may have fallen more than 2 to 3 times the past year. From there, we'll be able to send them to the social work station or to the 4 risk assessment station.
It's okay if we stand on top?
Okay. Some residents, they're in prime health, but they just want to be able to speak to a volunteer and maybe share whatever worries that they have. And I think that's what makes NHS so special.
Many of the residents they encounter live on their own. By showing care and concern, the young volunteers have made a difference to many lives.
9, 4.
Okay, very good. 6, 6.
These interactions have also left a deep impact on the volunteers themselves.
Bye, Krishna.
Have a nice day. Bye.
So the biggest takeaway that I have from the program will be how it is to truly empathize with someone, understand how they lived, understand what are the problems that plague their lives every day. At NUS, the greatest thing that I have learned would be to never take things for granted. I believe that every student in NUS is extremely privileged. We have to always give back to the society.
NUS also places heavy emphasis on service learning, an educational approach that combines classroom learning with community service. From August 2021, the university will add a new module to its general education curriculum that provides students with a holistic education.
We introduced the communities and engagement modules to encourage our students to think beyond themselves and serve the community better. Students can choose to work on existing community projects or design their own projects.
Teach Singapore, or Teach SG, which kicked off in 2021, is one of the community projects currently available to NUS students. The undergraduates provide academic coaching and mentoring to primary and secondary school youths.
One important part of education, in our view, is service to the society. We thought that our undergraduates can be a role model, big brother or big sister to students from lower income families. And our hope is that other than helping them with their schoolwork, giving them exposure to what could follow after they have completed their secondary school, their junior college, by bringing them to university, showing them what we do, it could inspire them to work much harder towards, getting a university education.
Okay, good, very good, very good. Okay, very good.
Nathaniel Chin is a second-year student from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. He is one of over 700 student mentors participating in TeachSG.
I wanted to volunteer as a mentor as a way of giving back, to do whatever I can to help the younger individuals out there. Okay, so from this sentence here, is there anything that doesn't sound right?
Price.
Price is correct.
During Nathaniel's weekly sessions with his mentee, Louis Lim, he makes sure to set aside time for both study and play.
We help them with their daily homework, and we teach them how to manage their stress in school or from their personal life, how to study better. Every week we would think of new activities for them, play board games, have a good chit-chat. One of the days, we actually went out to play at Sentosa. Okay, slowly, yeah. Louis used to be less responsive. I had to think of interesting ways to maintain engagement with him. But eventually, he started to open up to me, and I think that shows that he became more comfortable with me.
There's a 4 and a 3.
So this is a 4, right?
Yeah, then this is a
3. Okay, very good. When are we correct?
So is it okay if you all can help support the youth in the studies?
Okay.
Writing arguments.
Fiona Tung, the Deputy Director of Brighton Connection, where Lewis attends its youth mentoring program, has witnessed changes in Lewis's behavior.
The first few meetups, Nathaniel was very intentional in building rapport with Louis. We observed that Louis has gotten more eager to participate in social activities. He is more outgoing as compared to before.
Throw each other then.
Yeah, you have to throw 3 times, okay?
Mine is 3.
All these activities, it has really helped me grow as an individual. It taught me how to show care and concern for others. And that there's really more just than myself. Almost.
To nurture students who are future-ready, NUS constantly reviews and refreshes what and how it educates its students. In recent years, NUS has been gearing towards broad-based, interdisciplinary learning. There are no straightforward solutions to many of the biggest global issues we face today, such as climate change and poverty. To effectively tackle such problems, interdisciplinary learning is key.
Students should not see disciplines as individual disciplines. They need to understand connections between disciplines. Our hope is that as the students go into higher level modules in their own sort of chosen majors, they would get to see even more connections at the higher level. So interdisciplinarity would be slowly introduced to all modules across the whole university. If you look at problems that students and future graduates will encounter today, they are all interdisciplinary in nature. It's pretty challenging to have one problem, a complex problem where you can find a solution in one particular discipline.
We go deeper into the economic aspects as well as the kind of smart nation aspect. Although the module leaders...
But developing these interdisciplinary courses is a big challenge.
So if you put, say, a mathematician with a psychologist to work together, and then to come out with a course that integrates psychology and mathematics, it cannot be, I teach part A, you teach part B, and then leave it to the students to do the integration. The intention is to actually bring out issues and challenges that psychology and mathematics would have overlaps. And then to impress on the students how both approaches from both disciplines can actually be combined together to address some of the issues and problems. That's where I think you need practitioners to come in, because practitioners have more access to real-life, everyday problems. Now you have three parties to come together to co-design and co-teach. That's a big challenge. But we think that this is important for the intellectual development of our students. And also we feel that for faculty members, the research that they do are invariably interdisciplinary in nature. And this would also help our faculty members too.
To help facilitate interdisciplinary learning, NUS has reformed its educational framework. Students are now able to personally customize their own learning journeys.
When I was an undergraduate, a one-size-fits-all approach was the norm. Today, NUS students enjoy unlimited flexibility. One major or two majors, or one major, one minor, or one major, two minors are all possible. NUS is a comprehensive university that offers expertise in multiple subjects and multiple disciplines. If you choose one area, I will find an expert for you in that area.
In 2019, NUS launched Design Your Own Module, a flexible learning pathway that supports self-directed learning. It has since been recognized as Teaching and Learning Strategy of the Year at the prestigious Times Higher Education Awards Asia.
They can design the modules in any way they want them. They can invite an external guest speaker from the industry, and they will be supervised by a professor at the same time, or they can take a course by a professor from MIT or Harvard, or whichever professor they choose to learn from. We can do that.
We want our students to be agile intellectually. And one of the key is for them to have a very broad-based intellectual foundation.
So even if you're a literature major, I still need you to be.
In 2021, the university formed NUS College, Singapore's first honours college. Students will gain from a broad-based interdisciplinary education, a rigorous residential program, and access to most degree programs offered by NUS. NUS College is the third such interdisciplinary college at the university. The first is the College of Humanities and Sciences, or CHS, formed in 2020, with the support of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences and Faculty of Science. CHS students like Yang Jan Heng are free to pursue any of the major and minor combinations offered by both faculties.
There will be much more flexibility for me. I am future-proofing myself, and I'm keeping ahead of the curve right now.
Jun Hung has taken up one of CHS's newest offerings, the Data Science and Economics Cross-Disciplinary Program. This 4-year program is the first of its kind in Singapore to integrate knowledge across the disciplines of data science and economics.
Using data science skills, I'm able to make better economic analysis in the future, such as applying data science and machine learning to help predict HDB housing prices. Another example is using data science skills to understand credit loan issues. So by studying past data, I was actually able to make a model to guess how likely someone would default their credit loans.
Another newly formed entity, the College of Design and Engineering, or CDE, is also gearing towards interdisciplinary learning. CDE's revamped curriculum includes a new module on livable cities, developed by Professor Koo Teng Chai. He has decades of industry experience, having headed Singapore's government agencies, like the Centre for Livable Cities, PUB, Singapore's water agency, and the Urban Redevelopment Authority.
New cities and towns are being developed all the time. It's a very important phenomenon, and I think not enough has really been studied or understood about cities. Singapore is in a way almost like a living laboratory. To solve the problems of a city requires people from many disciplines. It requires the government to work with the private sector and the community. Students must come up with new knowledge, new theories, but at the same time understand how real-life problems are solved.
The module's main source materials are case studies, published by the Centre for Livable Cities, when Professor Koo was serving as Executive Director.
I'm not quite the same as the other lecturers. I come from the kind of practical world, so a lot of war stories to share.
Many of the course's teachers, like Associate Professor Emi Kiyota, adopt a similar teaching approach. Dr. Kiyota is the founder of Ibasho, an organization that empowers the elderly to act as agents of change in their own communities.
I feel like I had substantial knowledge to teach students based on what I've learned, and I really like to share my practical experience with academic background so that students are able to then create their own future. So it is going to be much more proactive rather than reactive.
I think when you're talking about co-design is a part of that. We have
There are two skills I actually like to see. First is critical thinking skill. Learn how to question about the information that is given. And the second one is really a skill of being empathetic to others.
Besides gaining insights from case studies and industry practitioners, the students work on team projects.
We assign them to look at a district. I like that analogy. Can you elaborate what you mean by that?
So the main idea we were trying to do was to actually...
They have to define a problem that they think is important in that district. For example, I want to make the town more cycling friendly. To create the cycling paths, where does the land come from? Oh, maybe some trees have to be chopped down, so which is more important, trees or cycling paths? So these are the trade-offs that they managed, and then they come out with good design solutions.
When you design those routes, whether you consider the ecosystem connectivity.
How do you ensure there's actual learning?
In the studio, a lot of people will ask questions and you'll defend your ideas. Because in real life, that's what they are going to get. So I really like them to feel comfortable presenting their idea and being questioned and don't take it personally. Just push their idea through if it's the right thing.
So that's actually our main intention and objective.
So at the end of the day, the focus is not so much coming out with perfect, outcomes. And my message to them is that Singapore is still going to be an island for the next 50 years, and next 50 years is your turn to plan, to develop, to manage Singapore. We hope that the Livable Cities course will give them some important principles that they can draw on.
Meanwhile, Prashant Kunasalan, a third-year industrial design student from CDE, is enjoying his interdisciplinary course. He sees the value of gaining knowledge and skills in multiple disciplines.
If, let's say, you are into physical product design, then I think it's important to know those manufacturing or engineering limitations or restrictions. If you're a digital product designer, designing softwares, designing apps, then I think it's important to understand what are the limitations of code and technology so that when you design, you'll be mindful of the limitations while designing the flows or designing the apps.
For one of his projects, he learnt various skills, such as JavaScript coding, visual design, and animation, to design and create a toy joystick. He also learnt to fabricate his prototype from scratch.
Our prof wanted us to use computer vision to create those interactive experiences, something that a user could physically touch, play with, and that would have some kind of a digital action. So what we did was we used basically QR code looking markers. He taught us a bit of JavaScript. A computer uses computer vision to detect this marker movement, and then by doing so, we can actually make a joystick. We don't need to have electronic components in order to do so. So I would say that we are kind of multidisciplinary designers that find solutions to people's problems.
Prashant is not alone. More and more students are taking advantage of NUS's multidisciplinary approach to education and flexible learning pathways to explore new fields of learning they couldn't before. For eager learners, there are endless opportunities to gain new knowledge and skills. Oftentimes, these are found beyond the classroom. Campus living gives NUS students access to a wide variety of learning experiences not found in the classroom.
Residential learning is an integral part of a university education. Similar to the customized academic pathway, we also offer a variety of accommodations to cater for different needs of the students.
There are 4 types of residential options for full-time NUS students. A popular choice is residential colleges, where students enroll in a 2-year academic program with a special focus. For example, the theme of Ridgeview Residential College is the environment, while community engagement is the focus of the program at the College of Alison Peter Tan, or CAPT. NUS Business School sophomore Shanna Lim feels right at home at CAPT.
So I joined CAP with the intention to try out some community engagement projects. So last year I was actually involved in this student mentorship program for primary school latchkey children. I've also had opportunities to serve the college through the House Committee as the Director of Student Affairs. So what makes CAP so special, I think, is definitely the culture. All the residents here are really full of love and warmth, and I think that's what really makes CAP a home away from home.
The immersive learning experience has been a very enriching one for Shanna.
So I think one of my biggest takeaways is really how the program has helped to develop my critical thinking skills. One of the modules that I've attended is on the mental health landscape in Singapore. How technology, how culture, how family has impacted mental health. And I think that really helped to broaden my perspective on this topic that seems rather taboo in Singapore.
The learning journeys undertaken by NUS students have no geographical boundaries. The NUS Overseas Colleges, or NOC program, gives students the opportunity to work and study at one of 12 entrepreneurial hotspots in the United States, Europe, and Asia. Jeffrey Tiong and Guan Dien are just 2 NUS graduates among hundreds whose lives have been radically changed through NOC.
Growing up in an Asian culture, Asian family, the expectation is to be a doctor, engineer, pharmacist, dentist, lawyer, never an entrepreneur. Going to NOC program, having immersed myself in the land of entrepreneurship in US, which anything is possible, that opened up my whole mindset.
If you join NOC, you get to travel to the most entrepreneurial places in the world, such as Silicon Valley. Living there for a year, you see every day people who are in their 20s, their 30s, doing all kinds of cool stuff to try to change the world.
Today, Jeffrey and Guan Dien are co-founders of PatSnap, a unicorn startup that helps companies to innovate.
Without NOC, we wouldn't have PatSnap. We wouldn't even think of startup a company.
Besides NOC, NUS students can also gain valuable work experience through the Internship as a Service initiative. Using this new online platform, students embark on flexible projects with companies as paid assignments or in exchange for modular credits.
In the gig economy, this is kind of the norm. So I believe this platform will really help our students to be more prepared for the future.
Chen Yao is one such student.
I would say that 90% of the whole robot is built from PLA, the usual 3D printed material. Then what makes this different is that it's actually from TPU. The flexibilities provided is something that is unprecedented. Instead of a conventional 8 to 5 in the office, during the free time that I have throughout the day, I'm able to accomplish the various tasks that's required for the internship.
This final year engineering student was an intern at a wealth management firm. he seized the opportunity to explore an area of interest outside his chosen discipline.
Although I was from mechanical engineering, I have actually explored the finance sector. During this internship, I had the opportunity to really interact with subject matter experts, industry veterans and professionals that provided me with, I suppose, industry insights that I'm unable to gain through our textbooks and YouTube videos. And most importantly, it illustrated to me that beyond engineering, I'm flexible enough to tap onto various industries and deliver the required results.
The learning process doesn't stop for NUS students even after they've graduated.
In the past, the students who come into a university, they study for 3 to 4 years, and they would assume that they have the requisite skill sets and knowledge for life. But this is no longer true. Business models have changed. Digitization has changed many ways in which we operate. There's actually no line between learning and work. In fact, the boundary is very blurred. So there's a continuum between learning and career. And that's where lifelong learning comes in. You always would have to be hungry for knowledge, hungry for new skills.
In 2018, the university announced a new initiative, the NUS Lifelong Learners Program, to encourage students and alumni to pick up new skills or deepen their expertise in their chosen disciplines. Under this initiative, all current and future students are automatically eligible for NUS's Continuing Education and Training, or CET courses, for 20 years and beyond from the point of their admission. NUS also gives virtual vouchers to offset the cost of one NUS CET course of their choosing. More schemes are currently in development for NUS alumni to keep learning beyond this 20-year period.
Let's onboard more alumni, and within Connect Us, they're able to form learning communities.
Vice Provost for Master's Programs in Lifelong Education, Professor Susanna Leong, who also leads the School of Continuing and Lifelong Education, or SCALE, hopes to provide a strong support system for NUS alumni trying to stay competitive in the workforce.
The role of SCALE is to better engage our alumni in terms of understanding their pain points and their needs, and better understand how best we can make available these offerings to them. NUS's approach to lifelong learning is a whole of NUS approach. This means all 17 schools in NUS curates and develops continuous education and training offerings in the form of short courses, graduate certificates, master's program to assist our alumni and learners to pivot into the job roles that they aspire. From one stage of the individual's career life cycle to the next.
For Denise McIntyre, this learning opportunity came in the form of NUS's new Advance at NUS program. It is targeted at working adults who wish to pursue an undergraduate degree at NUS.
So I've always wanted to be a marine biologist, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I couldn't continue my studies at NUS previously and I had to withdraw.
Denise spent 6 years working overseas as a diving instructor. While she thoroughly enjoyed her job, she yearned to fulfill her childhood dream.
So I started planning different routes into ways that I could get into marine biology. So one way was through scuba diving, volunteering, and then gaining experience in marine science.
A chance opportunity led Denise to take up a laboratory technician job at St. John's Island National Marine Laboratory, a research facility under NUS. It did not take long for her supervisors to recognize her potential. They encouraged her to take up a degree course.
Joining NUS was the best of both worlds. I wanted to be able to study and be able to stay on the projects that I was already on. And getting a degree from NUS would be able to open more doors in the industry for me as well.
Denise is now in her first year at the NUS College of Humanities and Sciences.
Coming back to school after almost a decade was definitely very challenging, and it still is very challenging. This time round, I actually know why I want a degree, how it's going to help me in the future. And also, even though I still struggle with readings, my grades have actually been better than what they were when I was in NUS the first time round. So it gave me a personal sense of achievement, to think that actually maybe I can do this.
Shaped by academic rigor and diverse experiences, Denise hopes to make a positive impact on marine conservation.
I've seen coral reefs deteriorate, I've seen loss in biodiversity as well. So after graduating from NUS, I do want to stay in the marine conservation field to be part of the solution rather than just watching things go by.
Empowering people to impact the world for good is what NUS is committed to doing. The university is also continually reinventing education in new and exciting ways to prepare students for the future. In the face of a constantly changing world, it's crucial that NUS is able to meet the varied growing demands of Singapore's economy.
We are currently training a significant number of graduates, about 20% of each birth cohort. And it is important that our graduates are better prepared for a transformed economy. On top of that, we are very much focused on research and innovation, which will be a key driver in Singapore's future economy.
To this end, NUS is always reinventing education in new and exciting ways. The General Education, or GE curriculum, is one key example. Since 2001, the GE curriculum has sought to impart critical thinking and communication skills to students, complementing the knowledge acquired in their chosen disciplines. It used to consist of 5 pillars: human cultures, thinking and expression, Singapore studies, asking questions, and quantitative reasoning. Recently, the curriculum was updated. It now comprises 6 pillars: cultures and connections, critique and expression, data literacy, digital literacy, Singapore studies, and communities and engagement. This wide exposure to disciplines from humanities, social sciences, all the way to science and engineering is vital.
So it's very important for our students to understand their own domain and specialization, but also to be able to integrate insight from people from other fields that they might not be familiar with. Our education model provides this kind of possibility because in our common curriculum, we place a strong emphasis on interdisciplinary learning.
Both NUS President Professor Tan Ang Chai and Provost Professor Ho Teck Hua are keenly aware of the challenges confronting local graduates. Professor Tan sits on Singapore's Future Economy Council, while Professor Ho is chairman of the Singapore Data Science Consortium and executive chairman of AI Singapore, a national research and development program.
Graduates of the future will face significant challenges living in a world with many technological and business disruptions. NUS graduates will have to be adaptable and resilient. At the same time, they must be prepared to experiment and learn from their failures. Our goal is to actually help shape the future of Singapore and the world. There are 4 areas that we could potentially do so. First, we can serve as a talent magnet for the country. Second, we have to train and develop agile graduates that are committed to lifelong learning. Third, our professors have to discover big ideas that can potentially be solutions for societal challenges like climate change. Finally, for NUS to position itself as a key node in Asia's innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Postgraduate student Tuan Tong Tsin is pursuing a Master of Science in Digital Financial Technology at the new Asian Institute of Digital Finance. Jointly formed by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the National Research Foundation, and NUS, the Institute aims to nurture fintech researchers and practitioners. Many of its students are keen to explore career opportunities in the emerging fintech industry.
My bachelor degree is in finance, but my interests lie in the product innovation. And so this program just helped me to relocate to what I really interested in. We had a lot of professors from the real industry, and they would share a lot of real insight and resources with us. So it's really exciting, and I think it's very different. I've always had a motivation to make innovative products. So I think I can make this happen by leveraging the power of financial technologies.
NUS has two outputs. The first is our graduates. We want our graduates to do well in the job market. At the same time, to be good citizens of the country, they must be prepared to serve the community. And our second output is our ideas. Our ideas are based on research by our professors. We want these ideas to be solutions for problems that are happening in the community. They can be solutions for climate change or to help seniors cope with their aging problems. In the past, we focused on producing graduates and ideas. Now, we have kind of added one layer on top of that. It's about creating values for Singapore and for the world.
Over at NUS's Bukit Timah campus, the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy is a magnet for postgraduates. It is dedicated to educating and training the next generation of policymakers and leaders in Asia. To date, it has more than 3,000 alumni from over 90 countries.
We are able to tap on the diversity of the students because they bring with them experiences and a better understanding of their local culture and environments. They also helped us as we try to frame suggestions and proposals for policies, guidelines, and laws for the evolving future.
Natasha Gray from the Philippines is taking the Master in International Affairs program.
For me, there are so many great schools out there, but the action is in Asia, and I felt that I needed to be at LKY SPP to have the right network, but also be able to have that impact.
The experience of meeting and collaborating with people from diverse backgrounds has been very rewarding for her.
The team that I'm working with, Christine, who's from Norway and has worked extensively in international organizations. Adiraj, who's from India, was most recently in education consulting in China. And then we have Keith, who's from the Philippines and has worked over a decade in government affairs. Being able to meet different people and kind of be united with like a passion for creating projects that have impact, that's been a huge takeaway for me.
Natasha and her teammates have been working on an innovative solution to reduce the negative impact of COVID-19 on education in the Philippines.
Over 25 million students went into lockdowns. Many didn't have access to a phone or a laptop, so the risk of them dropping out altogether is much higher. We were learning all these different models, all these different amazing, tools on how to create impact. So that was sort of the origins of Phone a Friend.
All right, so we tried to figure out what is the best for our students. So what do you think are qualities of friends or tutors that we should look for?
I think someone with extensive experience working with children and preferably someone with a degree in education.
The Phone a Friend initiative enables distance learning in rural communities. Students are equipped with a mobile phone and matched with a tutor so that they can continue learning from home. The 5-month pilot program has helped over 40 grade 7 students from a school in the province of Laguna.
We're finalizing a report that essentially outlines best practices and learnings from the program. Our hope is to send this report to some of the NGOs and even government contacts that we spoke to. If we can even help advance some form of accessible hybrid learning in different communities, I think that that would be considered a success for our team.
I would say that we can only guess what education will be in 5-10 years. What is important is for us to adopt the mindset that nothing stays status quo. How we do things can be very different tomorrow or even the day after tomorrow, and we must be prepared. And I think being mentally prepared to embrace change and to be able to respond agilely to change will be very important for a university, for my colleagues, and for everyone in the university community.
In the face of an unpredictable and increasingly complex future, one thing will remain constant: the need for high-quality education. Over the years, NUS faculty and students have researched, created, and embraced different approaches to learning. The result is the NUS Education, a flexible, broad-based curriculum that supports interdisciplinary lifelong learning and offers infinite possibilities for Singapore and the world.